and failure is more valuable than success oftentimes is. I saw a quote from Bill Gates. He said, success is a lousy teacher. People who've had a ton of success over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and they're failing, they're dropping off because success can be a lousy teacher, can make you complacent or lazy. And so it's something that my dad always would tell me is, he'd say, it's faster to learn through failure than it is to learn through fear, right? Because if we fail quickly and move forward and make changes, we're going to learn a lot faster than if it takes us 2, 3, 4 months to even make a decision out of fear. So every year, me and my partners, we sit down, we review the year, and we look at what are the things that we learned this year that we want to make sure we keep with us going into next year. So we'll ask ourselves some questions, and we'll start having a conversation, and we make sure we distill down those lessons into actionable principles so we can take those principles with us into the next year. One of my favorite questions that we ask ourselves to kind of inspire this process, if we knew at the beginning of the year the challenges, the difficulties, even the successes that we face this year, what advice would we have given ourselves at the start of the year? That usually starts to prompt a lot of cool ideas and thoughts about, hey, what challenges did we face and how could we have handled them differently? And then we distill those down into principles that we take into the next year. All right, so principle number 1 is just to trust yourself, trust your intuition as a business owner and as an individual. If you look at all of the top people, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they've all been told no by experts in their field, right? And when they were starting out, when they were starting to do their thing, Tesla or Amazon or Apple, people that were experts in that field told them, no, that's never going to work. Don't do that. Stay simple, keep doing what everyone else is doing. They trust their intuition, and that's what led to eventually rising above those experts in the field. So trust yourself, trust your intuition. There's a lot of times where I've learned lessons by doing it the quote unquote wrong way or making the mistake, or I've met someone or I've been in the right place because of that I could have never seen just by looking at logically or listening to everyone else's opinions. So when you're listening to someone's advice, or you have coaches, mentors, whatever, like especially just online, take the information, look at it, but don't just live your life based off what everyone else says. At the end of the day, you got to trust you got to trust your intuition. This next principle is absolutely changed my entire life, but especially my business. And the principle is tell the fucking truth. Any type of lying, sugarcoating, if you're, waiting to tell someone the bad news, it creates drag in your business and it creates drag in your life. There's so many times where I should have fired someone quickly. I already knew where it was going, but I didn't want to have the hard conversation. Or someone's kind of fudging the numbers, trying to make things look better than they are. We don't want to look at the negative stuff. And all that ultimately does is it creates drag. So you got to look at the facts clear, and whether they're good facts, bad facts, we just got to look at the results, and then you can make changes from there. So you got to tell the truth completely. That's why I say tell the fucking truth, because exactly what I mean. There's no sugarcoating, there's no fluff, there's no room for error in there. It's something that's absolutely changed my relationships and everything as well. So tell the truth. Don't leave all the sugarcoating and all that stuff aside, and just set that precedent with your team. It's hey, we have to share bad news early and often. Some mentor shared with me, it's we like bad news early and often, because the earlier we find it out, the faster that we can figure it out, come up with a solution, and move forward. All right, this next principle is something that's really expanded my ability to show up with energy, enthusiasm, excitement for the daily grind in the office. And so this is something that I was actually talking with Russell Brunson, and he asked me, what's my vision? What's my goal? I said, my goal is to build a $100 million company in the next 4 years and sell. And he said, why 100 million? And that question, I didn't really have an answer for it. I didn't know why it was 100 million. And when I really reflected and journaled about it and thought about it a lot, it was yeah, I think the 100 million is just for other people, just because that number sounds cool, or just because it looks like a number I should set as a goal. When I realized that, I was okay, what do I really want? And instead of setting goals for other people, I was able to look at what's the amount of money that I need in the next couple of years to do the things I want, to have the investments I want, to have the toys I want, all that stuff. What would that really look like? And then getting really clear about, hey, when I get this amount of money, when we sell for X, this is what I'm going to use that money for. And now I have specific tangible things that I'm going to spend the money on, where it's going to be invested, how much is needed. I've had conversations with people that do those investments and really figured out, what do I need to create the lifestyle that I want over the next 2 to 3 years, and then reverse engineer our goals back to that, rather than just setting some random goal out there just because it sounds cool to other people or hear other people set that goal. That allows me every single day, when I know, hey, I got to get in and do the work, I know what I'm working for, and it's stuff that I can see, I can feel it, like I understand actually why I'm doing the work, rather than, hey, just 100 million or just $1 billion. It's like, is that really going to motivate you? What would you actually even do with that money? And so get really clear about what you're going to use the money for, or why you want the goals you want. And that'll help you, on the daily difficulties to just push through. All right, this next principle is something that can massively shift your ability to lead teams of people and to make progress in your life, but it's also really difficult as a leader. The principle is get feedback often. And so as a leader in a company or in a family or in a community, most time people will tell you what you want to hear, right? And it's hard to get true, honest feedback, but it's so crucial to get feedback from people so that you know what things you can improve, what are they experiencing, how are they perceiving the way you show up. Not that you always have to change or change yourself because of their feedback, but having moments and set times where you're able to sit back, have a meeting with someone and say, hey, what's getting in my way as a leader? What's getting in my way from being the best at this? Or, hey, what do you think I could do to be better at this? Those are some of my favorite questions, specifically that one of, hey, what do you think is getting in my way of XYZ? When you ask those questions, it gives someone like the freedom and the ability to kind of be honest and open up. The key with feedback is you cannot argue back in those moments. It's a set aside time to get feedback. You cannot argue, just say, thank you for the feedback. When you do that, people realize, hey, I can come to them, I can share stuff, and you're going to be a much more respected leader. People are going to trust you. They're going to trust to bring the problems to you that need to be brought up, right? If you don't see the problems and the difficulties in your business, they'll hit you before you even knew they were there, before you had the time to fix them. So get feedback often, super crucial as a leader, especially if you're working with teams or anything like that. If you don't have a business or you don't have a team of people yet, go to even other people that you work with or vendors or people and say, hey, like, what's your experience of me? Can you give me some feedback? I'm looking to improve. People will respect the hell out of that. They'll give you honest feedback that most of the time can make a difference. This year, as we were reviewing the principles and the things we learned, I had an insight of, man, most of the principles and the things that we gained from this last year came from, quote unquote failures or mistakes or difficulties. And it gave me this thought of like, man, failure is more valuable than success oftentimes is. And I saw a quote from Bill Gates. He said, success is a lousy teacher. And especially in these times where we're going into a recession and these things are happening, you see a lot of people who've had a ton of success over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and they're failing, they're dropping off, because success can be a lousy teacher. It can make you complacent or lazy. And so the failures are actually some of our best opportunities and are the most valuable opportunities to learn from. And something that my dad always would tell me is, he'd say, it's faster to learn through failure than it is to learn through fear, right? Because if we fail quickly and move forward and make changes, we're going to learn a lot faster than if it takes us 2, 3, 4 months to even make a decision out of fear. So they say when you're learning the piano, it takes you 1,000,000 mistakes to be able to play piano. And so you can either fail really, really fast, not care what anyone thinks, and get all those 1,000,000 failures in 3 months and learn how to play piano, or you can be afraid of what everyone thinks and timid and scared, and it can take you 5 years to make those 1,000,000 mistakes. But either way, you got to make the 1,000,000 mistakes. You might as well make them fast rather than taking forever to make them. So in business, there's no sense in getting mad about a mistake or failure. It's rather looking at it and say, hey, what can I learn from this? What can we change? And what do we need to do moving forward? In our business, when a mistake comes up or something happens, we have a process that we call CAPA, which stands for, what's the corrective action that we need to take right now to fix the problem? And then what's the preventative action to make sure this doesn't happen again, right? So if there's a fire, the corrective action is like get the fire extinguisher and spray it out. But the preventative action is look at, hey, what do we need to do to make sure we never have a fire again? Most people only do the corrective action, and that's why they have the same difficulties and struggles over and over and over again. So look at the failures, use them as a valuable tool, make corrective action and then make preventive action so you can progress and move forward fast. That's what the idea of this whole entire video is, distilling down the principles and the lessons, taking them with you into life, into the next phase, so you don't keep learning those same lessons, but you can actually use them to empower you and to move you forward.